Hi, this is Gary with Today for Tomorrow. Around the world, we're coming to terms with the fact that global warming is affecting us. Cities around the world are having to make adjustments, and one of the things they're having to adjust to is heat island effect. Joining me today is Catherine Toms with Florida Clinicians for Climate Action. Catherine, thank you so much for joining me, and please tell us about heat island effect, what it is, how it impacts us, and what we can do about it.
Okay, great to be here, Gary. Thanks for inviting me. So first of all, the urban heat island effect is very simple. Basically, it's the fact that our urban city areas are much hotter than the surrounding suburban and rural areas. So that can be by as much as 22 degrees.
Wow.
And so another thing we need to think about is the world is getting hotter with global warming because we're burning fossil fuels and putting them into the atmosphere. So there are many studies that have showed, and the IPCC has warned us that we may very well overshoot the 1.5 degrees increase in Celsius. So we are seeing warmer, wetter weather. And in fact, 2023 was the hottest summer on record in South Florida and across the globe. In Phoenix, they measured over 115 degrees Fahrenheit for over a month.
Wow.
So we're all suffering.
Yeah.
So you asked, how does it impact us? So it impacts us in four basic ways. One, we use more energy. Two, we create more carbon pollution. Three, we are impacted health-wise. So we have more incidents of asthma and heart disease because of an elevated temperature where we live. And it impacts us not only that way, but our mental health, more heat-related illnesses, and it even impacts the next generation because a study recently in 2020 showed, a large study with 32 million births, showed that women have a higher rate of stillbirth, low birth weight, and premature birth when they're exposed to high temperatures and air pollution. So the fourth way that we're impacted is heat, especially in the urban heat island, creates poor water quality. So water, when it rains, water runs off from hot roofs and hot pavement, and that increases the temperature in our water treatment plants and in our rivers and oceans, which elevates the growth of bacteria and algae and other microorganisms. So what are the different contributors to the urban heat island effect? So it's the lack of trees and green space in an urban area makes our cities hotter. Then the built environment, so buildings, especially roofs, black or dark roofs, make our cities hotter, and the black pavement, like we're seeing in this parking lot, make the urban heat island effect larger. And then the movement that we do within the city, so running air conditioners to cool our buildings, and also driving around, cars and trucks in cities, like you hear in the background, they create heat, so they add to the urban heat island effect. More cars in a concentrated urban area. So yeah.
So we've got these hot surfaces, right? A dark black asphalt parking lot, just like a dark shirt or a dark car. It's pulling in the heat, right? We've got these, fossil fuel burning cars and buses driving around, also creating a blanket of smog, if you will, trapping the heat. And then that heat kind of stays. The ground holds it stays overnight. So the cycle repeats itself and gets worse and worse and worse day to day. How do we fix it? What do we do about it?
Right. It was great that you mentioned that about nighttime heat. So as our cities are warming, the urban heat island makes it harder to cool down in the city core compared to suburban areas with a lot more trees. The trees the water from the trees evaporates and helps cool down over at night to make the area more resilient. And we don't have that in urban areas. So what do? So we can do things as a community and we can do things individually. So city planning is important. City planning where we have more green space, giveaways for trees, more mature trees, laws that protect mature trees in a community, things like that. But not only a tree canopy with native trees, but also vertical gardens. So greening up along buildings like they do in Singapore. Take a peek at what Singapore is doing online. And then green roofs with community gardens where you can share fruits and vegetables within your condominium or in your greater community, things like that. And then painting those dark surfaces white can really mitigate the heat island effect, and maybe even working with asphalt companies to, from the beginning, have that material have a higher albedo, a reflective index.
Great ideas, yeah. And as an individual, if you're planting the trees, if you're painting your roof white, you're doing something to combat heat island effect, but you're also going to be saving money on your power bill. So it's really win-win.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I call that a trifecta solution. So there are a lot of those when it comes to mitigating the heat island effect. So it's good for your pocketbook, it's good for your health, and it's good for your community. It improves, when you plant trees, you improve the well-being of the community, both in better health, lower healthcare costs, but also just a more enjoyable, more desirable community, raises property values, things like that.
Yeah. So finally, I just want to end with, you had mentioned one of the things that we as individuals can do, and that is obviously plant trees, and you can get these trees quite frequently from your city for free. So just a little bit of advice on that for our viewers?
Yeah. So there's an International Arbor Day that takes place the last Friday of every April, and cities around the globe have all kinds of events. The big thing about it is free tree giveaways and educational things for kids and adults. And in fact, in Delray Beach, this weekend we're having a tree giveaway in collaboration with a nonprofit called Community Greening. So I hope everybody turns out for that, and I know West Palm Beach is doing a tree giveaway on Arbor Day.
Well, there you go. That's an easy thing you can do. And it may not seem like a lot, but remember, it's the little things that we do in our daily lives today as individuals that add up to make such a huge impact on all of our tomorrows. Thank you so much. Catherine, thank you so much for joining us and telling us all about the heat island effect.
Thank you, Gary.